Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cow Daily. This time I put my headphones in the wrong port, so nice one. Happy days. Aye, nice to see you. Still happy, all that. Nice to see you joining the stream too. If you're watching live, please let me know where you're on the comments. Also, giving us an early like on YouTube would be very much appreciated because that really helps with. If you want to support work, go to patreon.com/cow daily. That's patreon.com/cow daily. Today, after the show, we'll be having our first patrons drop in. There's a link going out in the patrons forum at the link patreon.com/cow daily. Get the app as well. Because that's where the forum is, but also it's just so much easier and it's everything Discord isn't. So really happy with the forum function on Patreon. Also, as well, just something to mention, Patreon have done this like really dumb like free members thing, and it seems like Blind Boy was on about this the other day. It seems like it's like just a way for Patreon to get your email address because it doesn't get you any benefits or any of the other things. So bear that in mind if you are going to sign up. I don't know why they've added that. Probably answered my own question because they want you to just get your email address and it doesn't actually get you into the community. Anyway, let us see who's about before we go into a fun-packed show. As you can see, automatically Patreon links in the thing. Who is this? Glasgow saying, nice to see you, pal. Joanne's in, nice to see you. What else? Carlos, nice to see you, all kid. Jojo's a boot, nice to see you, pal. Big Dave Slaz, nice to see you, Slaz. That's who's in at the minute. Sweet as. Right, what we're going to talk about today, it's like a bit of a mixed bag. Like, Zoe's just popped up before we do. Nice to see you, pal. Oh, no, you're going to miss the drop in. Oh, that sucks, man. Never mind. Next time, everyone's a winner. So today we're talking about like a bit of a news roundup, really, because I just think there's a few things that need to be picked up in the world of Raj, and whether people to do it. Let's be honest. Let's dip into Planet Mental and see what they're all about. Before we do, had a bit of a mid-level hiatus, as I mentioned in the last show. I acknowledge that I don't really take proper breaks. So January and in August there'll be that kind of thing happening. I think those are the best times as well. It won't be the full month or anything. There'll still be stuff coming out, but I'll just be having a rest. But it's nice that we went back in the top 30 there, beating NPR shows. It's not as an impressive a slide because below that there's loads of BBC shows, and I always think of that as the thing my mum understands. She doesn't know what NPR is. She doesn't care about deep state radio. She wants to know if I'm above Graham Norton or something. So anyway, there's a few. It was just a bit hilarious, really. People, I must have been called a shill for various things many times over the years. Funniest one was the Illuminati or something. So anyway, the Crystal Fash are getting desperate. It's actually the World Economic Forum I work for, not the Illuminati. Hope this clears up the confusion you seem to be having. Also, it's 3 minutes 47. All have a wonderful day until after 5 minutes on YouTube. I think this as well, right? We did the Crystal Fash episode last time. It was well received, but I think this needs more credit. Don't miss out, Dog Whistle Crew. That's Dog Whistle Crew. That, quite frankly, went over people's heads, and that's a disgrace. So far be it from me not to grab my flowers if I'm not getting them. Dog Whistle Crew, man. How way? I know I've ruined it by impressing it upon you, but I don't care. Dog Whistle Crew is absolutely belter. Just want to big up some other outlets. Had a good chat with them recently. Really nice people. Green New Deal Media, that's gndmedia.co.uk. One of their most recent podcasts is with NASA scientist Peter Kalmus on how we can beat climate change in 5 years. What to say here? This week we sit down with NASA scientist Peter Kalmus to discuss how NASA monitors the Earth's climate and how we went from the climate lab to the climate protest, how he went to it. In the fight to stop fossil fuels, can we save the planet in the next 5 years by ditching fossil fuels? One thing I like about these people is they're real and honest. Like they could have like grown up on the same estate I did. They're just good people. And I mean, not to say people who didn't grow up in estates aren't. I'd like to make that clear. But check out their work. I'll be doing more of that and bigging up other people's work. I mean, we've done it periodically, as you know, but I want to make a point of doing that. All boats rise with the tide. And if we're going to build a proper functioning media that works for us, the people, then we're going to have to lift each other up and not play no competitive games. So I want to be bigging people up, even if they're not bigging us up. Simple as that. It doesn't matter to me if like that happens. I just want what we've been on about, which is a functioning media, at least a new media that's built and supports each other. And trust me, outside of this work, I'm doing that kind of work, and I'll hope to tell you about it one day. Oh yes, grot bags, I will. Can't help myself. I just can't be a pure serious regular journalist and that. I can in other jobs, but not this one. Anyway, on the screen, Riley J. Davis. Our planet is dying, and people insist that it's just fine to enjoy the nice warm weather. On February the fucking 1st, 6 minutes in, swearing's happening. Riley goes on, but every day that the weather is warm, I worry about the animals that are out and about, as do I. And not hibernating, the plants that will struggle through the drought, same, we eat them. The rivers that will be low on water, honestly, went to Catalonia last year, it will just drive you batty. It's pure drought central. The rivers that will be low on water because they got no snow runoff. I don't understand how people aren't waking up, looking outside and having a panic attack about what's to come. The last bit, I'm not having a panic attack about it because I'm preparing. I'm preparing for the summer. Last year, I think people in the UK didn't really understand it because there was a low pressure front. This year, is that going to happen again? Want to roll the dice? There is hope, and as I've said, I've shared the Green New Deal Media podcast, which I think you should check out with Peter Kalmus, who's saying this is how we can fix it in 5 years. But what's not going to fix it is working class people pretending that we've got no power. Now, I went back and forth with somebody yesterday, and it's now personal, so there's no name required. And that person was like admonishing us for saying that the working class. I don't want to misrepresent this person, so like basically saying that I'm blaming the working class for their oppression, which is just 1970s socialist fucking theory, basically. And what that did and does still, in my view, is belittle us, put us in our boxes, and like wait for all the big union leaders and all of these to do something. They ain't going to do fuck all. Mick Lynch is going to tell you to vote Labour. Look, at the end of the day, people like that, they're great on the telly, but light on actual substance. Sorry to be that guy again, but Mick isn't the one. So we're going to have to do it ourselves. So panic attacks we can have. And I think sometimes, given the state of the world, that is something that will happen. But also, we are here to empower each other. It's that Buckminster Fuller thing about creating something to replace the old, a paraphrase of his famous quote. But it is. That's literally what we're doing from the ground up, from seed level. And one of the things about the patrons meetup after this, it's about that. It's a private thing. It won't be broadcast, and we'll be talking. And firstly, we'll be using it as a space to heal from this. And what I mean by that is it takes a hell of a lot of mental energy to live on planet mental and know the truth. And for me, having a place where we can just talk openly and freely without people like heavily in denial is just so important. So if you want to be part of that, patreon.com/cowdaily straight after the show. Right, what else we got? Just one thing I want to mention about Tucker Carlson, which is like so adjacent to brand and the likes of Jimmy Dore, apparent leftist. Jimmy Dore, by the way, was on a retainer by some billionaire, and I think you should look up as to what happened, because it's quite a few people hang off his every word. And for me, he's compromised. So this is what he tweeted. It was quote tweeted by somebody. Jimmy Dore says, "Why is Tucker Carlson the only corporate news show to allow me to bring on an anti-war message and tell the truth about Ukraine? You're being lied to about Ukraine, blah, blah, blah." Somebody's quote tweeted it, and I think that's a really good breakdown of what it is. at Johnny Socialism says, because Tucker Carlson's father was the longest serving director of the CIA's Voice of America, and he, following in his footsteps, has been designated as a limited hangout to contain and control dissident sentiment and channel it into a manageable reaction through useful idiots like Russell Brand, like Jimmy Dore, Rogan to a bigger degree, but he was less to the left. And that's the crack. That's all it is. It's just a pipeline. I posted a video on my social media yesterday by Media Matters, and it was talking about something called Power Slap. So anybody watches the UFC will know about Dana White's Power Slap. They'll also know about Dana White doing like really staged walkouts at UFC events with Donald Trump and fucking Kid Rock and shit. Whilst the walkout music, like it's the wrestling American Badass plays. And then afterwards, when challenged on it, they're talking about the fact that it was just like, oh, it was just a coincidence as we walked out. And then it happened again at another event. Now, what Media Matters video illustrates really well is how Power Slap is a gateway to the far right. And what it means is Power Slap is on Rumble, which is the same thing Russell Brand's on, which is the thing funded by far-right billionaire Peter Thiel. The top and bottom of it is there's a load of full-on fascism, like Nick Fuentes, check him out. We've spoken about him on the show before. Far-right influencer and just fucking straight-up fascist, anti-Semite. Also, on the Media Matters video is a clip of Nick Fuentes where he says, like, Donald Trump should just get in, and when he does, he should never leave. That is fascism. No more elections, he says. So don't get it twisted. And I was saying this when questioned on it in 2015 on a show. Yes, this is fascism. No, we should not shirk away from it. Why are people shirking away from it? Because, in my opinion, one, they don't want to believe it because they don't want to do anything real about it. And that's a fact. If we look at COVID and we look at climate change and all of this, a lot of this stuff on the left is just utterly performative. Like, we are literally just trying to build a new movement here because, you know, take it however you want, and it's not really good in terms of listenership and watchership and all of that, attacking the thing that would probably watch and laugh at what you're saying and has done in the past, let's be honest. But that's not what this is about at all. Never has been. What it's about is doing the right fucking thing. And we shall continue to do so, won't we? Yes. So anyway, at Following My Body on Twitter, literally everything new we learn about COVID is bad. Excuse me. Every day are people hoping we learn something good that justifies their repeat infections and refusal to mask because it's been 4 years. You're not going to find evidence. This is just a cold. And if you want any of that evidence, just go to previous episodes. That's not what we're here to do today. One thing I want to show you, which I find incredibly heartening, is this. We've mentioned it before on the show. It's Dr. Ray Duncan, who is a long COVID specialist who works in Newcastle. What's heartening to see is this type of thing is starting to be reported on the BBC. This is BBC Scotland. Please check this out. I think there's a lot of hope to be found here. And also, I think it illustrates a real shift in the discourse, because as we've been saying for the last 2 years and more, that when this touches people, the information that you're about to find out here on mainstream media, then people know. And I think this is like the fuck around and find out moment where it changes. So have some heart. Also, shouts to that one good turn on Twitter, doing God's work, literally. Man's a priest.
Very real questions are starting to be asked about how we're dealing with COVID now. There is increasing medical and scientific evidence to suggest that long COVID could be far more dangerous than we'd previously realized. It can apparently affect nearly every organ in the body. What's more, it doesn't appear to discriminate. You have as much chance of getting it whether you're 5 or 105. Indeed, some medical practitioners now believe the burden of long COVID could soon be measured on a par with the burden of cancer and heart disease for our health services. Well, a little while ago, I spoke to Dr. Ray Duncan, a cardiologist at Newcastle NHS, one of the country's most prominent researchers into long COVID. Dr. Ray Duncan, like a lot of people, I know many folk who, through the last month or two, have been ill. They've had maybe flu, maybe COVID. They've not been testing. They've shaken it off after a week, or if they're unlucky, 2 or 3, and they've got back on with it. And they just think, well, so what? It's all the same now. Why is that attitude wrong?
Hi, Martin. First of all, I'd just like to say thank you very much for having me on the show. It's interesting that there appears to be a slight disconnect between what the kind of boots in the ground public perception of COVID is now and what the scientists are finding in the research studies. So obviously, at the beginning of the pandemic, we were very concerned about the acute deaths. We've had over 7 million people die globally. We have over 65 million disabled by long COVID. But as in the event of vaccination and as we have had new and more Omicron variants, what we tend to be seeing now is that the acute infection for many appears to be milder, and it appears to feel for many like a bad cold or a bad flu. But one of the things that the science is showing is that SARS isn't a cold. It's not a cold virus. And if we think of SARS-CoV-2 simply in terms of the acute index infection, what we're doing is we're only really looking at the tip of the iceberg. And the bulk of the iceberg, as we know, lies under the...
Hello, right, we're back. So, as you can see, shorter clip there, just a couple of minutes, because obviously we don't want to take the whole show up with it, but you get the gist. I think there's a hell of a lot of hope to be had there. That is a presenter shutting up and letting the qualified person who's across this issue, because there's many qualified people who just aren't, letting the qualified person speak. Bloody hell, is journalism breaking out at the BBC? Now, it is BBC Scotland, so Scottish people tell us if this is something that happens more in Scotland or what, but I'm happy to see it. The whole piece, there's clips online as well you can find, which is 10, 11 minutes long. Obviously, we weren't going to play that in the show, but you get the flavour. Hope springs eternal. Just say hello to some of the people popping up. Paul Elliott, nice to see you, pal. Duncan's in. Right back at you, pal. Andrea's in. Nice to see you. And what she's saying is this. Mick has really let me down with that stance. Tell us about it. It's just more, and obviously everybody likes Mick. So once again, what we're gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Somebody called ARP News is how you hide StreamYard logo. ARP News, what you have to do, right, is you have to get a subscription to StreamYard, and then you get the option to remove the logo. They keep the logo on because that's advertising for them if you use the free package. Hope that helps, my friend. I've never seen you pop up before. Nice to see you. Right, what else we got? Jacqueline Hemmons is in. Nice to see you, mate. Everyone I gather from the chat, we're talking about the Enough is Enough campaign. Mentioned it, yeah. Absolutely an utter dog shit. Michael Dines, what a great man. Nice to see you. All the best. Right, have I missed anybody? Carlos is in. Nice to see you, man. What's Carlos saying? What the BBC need to do to be taken seriously is not to report this just once. However, to keep reporting this, this is when we see they're taking it seriously, definitely. And that's where we can put the pressure on. So let's do that. Glasgow, given with the insight on BBC Scotland, is still sadly very biased. That said, when it comes to health things, are usually good. It's great to hear. That is very good to hear indeed. Read what we've got next for you is just I want to show you the Vert Lartnik, which is great satire. Go to their page on Twitter. On the left, a school, COVID is over. Further on from that, a workplace, COVID is over. COVID is not over. Tour de France last year, they were still masking. World Economic Forum, that absolutely no, COVID is not over. They know this. They absolutely know this. This year, this month, once again, HEPA, air filtration, every room. And if you want to look at some footage, in Switzerland in January, people with their overcoats being interviewed outside. I wonder why. But really, I'm bigging up the Vert Lartnik here. Class satire, go see it. Just a quote to read out. There are two ways to be fooled. One is to believe what isn't true. The other is to refuse to believe what is true. Soren Kierkegaard, check him out. Right, this is one of the things which is an illustrative of where we're actually at here. And this is from the Reddit Newcastle upon Tyne subreddit. Viral illness going round. Has anyone else been knocked for 6 by this viral illness going round? Daughter and wife are both done in and spiking a really high temp. Feel like we've been hit by a bus and just can't be bothered with themselves. The wife reckons it's worse than COVID. Just wondering if anyone else has been hit by it. Right. I keep bringing these things up now because we've got to do repetition. It's how I get Brexit done. Multiple infections, especially close together of COVID, damage your immune system. So what point of the pandemic we're at now is the people who maybe didn't get vaccinated on the boosters or just straight up blanked it and just went running headlong into a cellar bar. If they're on like 4, 5, 6 or more infections, your body's not getting a chance to heal and rebound from. We don't know exactly yet whether your immune system will ever get back to how it was. So the game is to dodge this until the Clean Air campaign wins, and it will win. And I'll tell you more about why it's going to win in the Patrons Forum after this, because one of the things for me about that is I want to share, as I have been like in the written word, what successes we have, but also at the same time don't want to announce them publicly because ideas can die on the vine. So hang a boot for that. Read what else we got. Jacqueline is saying, if it presents as a mild cold or flu, then the person affected might not think to test for COVID. True, and some of them are. But what people don't understand, like en masse, I feel, is it's a vascular disease. The respiratory stuff at the front end's not even anywhere near half of it, even though it might, for some, it's like absolutely terrible. It's what it does to the body on an ongoing basis. And again, it's fucking repeat infections. I'm speaking as somebody who knows. You know, I went through this early in the pandemic, if you just join in today. So, you know, and it was before vaccines too. So get the fuck with that. Like, I'm sick of hearing it off people. Anyway. Slaz is saying, just on a tangent, what happened to the coup paint behind you? I didn't slash it. You know, when you pack it in the car and it's on top of the stuff in the boot, there was the boot divider for the dogs. Got stuck in it and I went to pull it out like that and just pulled it like that. We're going to fix it eventually, but probably be at a later date. Paint over it to stitch it up, that kind of thing. One of them, isn't it? Joanne's saying, my default when I hear about somebody is ill is COVID. That's my first thought always. I was talking about this with my partner yesterday, and I think we should be careful. And the reason being is it's like, you know, people who are like full core anti-vax, like straight away, it's like, oh, it's the vaccine, it's turbo cancer or whatever. And we don't know. What we do know is, and I think we should be really on this, like as a group, is that like, I think it delegitimizes us to all, like immediately just go, it's COVID, it's COVID, it's COVID. Like other illnesses do exist. I think more accurately, we should be saying things like it could be historical damage to the immune system, possibly caused by COVID, because until people get biomarker tests, we don't know for sure. And one of the things that should separate us from everybody else, well, not everybody, but definitely the ops, is evidence. Because as I said earlier in the show, you will not find evidence that COVID is just a cold. There's none. It won't happen. Yeah, repetition is important. The Get Brexit Done sloganeering of this is important. So repeat infections damage the immune system and could possibly have led to what's happening to people. And as I say, that Newcastle upon Tyne subreddit is just one of things everywhere, Mumsnet, all of that. People going, what could this possibly be? And I'm just trying to like practice empathy there because I'm done being like up height about stuff. Right, just shifting gears slightly, something I want to mention. You might have heard of Professor David Miller. So he's won his landmark judgment. The Employment Tribunal has found that University of Bristol wrongfully dismissed Professor David Miller and discriminated against him because of his anti-Zionist beliefs. In David's statement, he said it's not just a victory for him, it's a victory because anti-Zionist beliefs are now enshrined in law. This is a precedent. So it's obviously people have been dancing around this stuff for quite a while. So great victory. No, I'll not say the next bit. No, we won't do that. Anyway, sympathy is easy because it comes from a position of power. Empathy is looking someone else in the eye and realizing that you could be them, and all that separates you is luck. And that's what we're talking about what happened to David Miller, what's going on with COVID, people getting touched by climate change. Look, the wars in Africa, and a lot of them are around resources and scarcity and drought. So people are like, oh, when all that comes. But people of color, predominantly, it's already here. And we're seeing that in Europe, in terms of people, refugees who are just leaving. And yes, it is for an economic reason, but you would too if you couldn't grow any fucking crops or feed yourself or your family. So people do that because it's actually the danger of it all is better. Now, if we want to look at like the way refugees are presented, there's not a massive like mainstream like look at people like Francis Ngannou from Cameroon, who crossed the desert so many times, got to Europe, lived homeless on the streets in Paris, and then nearly beat Tyson Fury and also became the UFC heavyweight champion. Those are the stories that want amplifying, like, but they're not being. Wonder why? I wonder. However, shouts to the Fellowship of the Memes. It's Bela Lugosi's Vampire with Nicholas Witchell makes his way to the newsroom. Why is this? King Charles has been diagnosed with cancer. And this is what we're talking about. Like straight away, I was like, he's had COVID twice. But also at the same time, he's in his 70s. So we must caution this because, yes, is there evidence which shows that COVID, especially repeat infections down the line, will bring forward end of life illness and disease? Of course, very solid evidence. There's also solid evidence that people in their 70s can get COVID. But if somebody from birth has had literally the leading edge of medical treatment and this is happening, then that's a question we should, talk about in good faith and openly. Has COVID had an impact whilst balancing it with the fact he's an old man? That's really fucking important. Also, what's really important is he's the fucking king. Take the piss. Will this let us outlast Charles Windsor? Hashtag not our king. Get well soon. We'll find out. Also, the media have lost their mind. The Independent live view Buckingham Palace after Charles's cancer diagnosis announced. Somebody quite rightly has put, why are you staring at a building? They've literally got a webcam on Buckingham Palace. What do they think he's going to do? Like abseil off the fucker for like fucking coping with cancer or something? Also want to big up my favorite rapper and also your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. That's Sage Francis. Master Cleanse is illustrative of the Palestinian struggle and will teach you a lot in one rap tune. So go to sagefrancis.bandcamp.com. Check out Master Cleanse with Old Boy Rhyme, Sage Francis, Rituals of Mine, and Alexander Brown. Also, Sage has just done a really good interview with the Palestine Chronicle, and I want to big him up because artists have been stepped on for doing the right thing, and Sage is one of your own. Strangely enough, people who've been around a while will know I booked Sage Francis with a collective of other people for his first gig and only gig in Newcastle, actually. What a banger gig that was. Go to milkthecowpodcast.com for Jimmy Budd's review of it if you want. Also, Care Ireland got in touch. She says, hi, this is the link for the last organising aid to Gaza. Please share. All monies go directly to Gaza, to places that the free aid isn't reaching. Her teams on the ground buy food and warm clothing and distribute that to those who need them. So I shall post the link. We are feeding children in Gaza. Help us feed more. If you want to search for it on GoFundMe, shouts to Kay for letting us know. Climate emergency at Code Red Earth says, there's a cat looking a bit like Garfield with its face stuck in a box facing the wall of the box. Friends and family, when you bring up the hashtag climate emergency. I feel your pain. I do. I honestly think, though, this summer is going to be pivotal. And I'm just saying to you, people in the know, man, just switch on. Just look at the Facebook page. Actually, I posted a thread the other day, which was without using electricity, what ways would you use to keep cool this summer? And there's some great advice in there. So please I'm not begging you because I'm not a beg, but please, if you value your own health and you want to stay on top of it and not damage your body further, because look at it this way, right? If the immune system's already damaged with the virus that's kicking about, then what we need to be doing is taking all precautions to do 1% gains, the Kaizen approach to amplify our health, which is what I'm doing. You know, I'm dodging COVID, HEPA filtering everywhere, and masking up. Also, it's you know, a form of praxis. If we're strong about walking around masking up, like people are not staring at us that much anymore because they're getting the hackies immediately. Not great, but they need to stop fucking with, but don't we? So it's the only way. On that, please, you know, let's look after each other and ourselves as a community here. It's important we're prayer. Just to like highlight this, many of you will know Ultrasonic from the Old Rave days, massive in the north, in Scotland, especially, also charted with a different alias, public domain. That's Malaka Lee, the MC, you know, the one in the white hat from Ultrasonic. Sadly, he has died from cancer at 51. He revealed his diagnosis a few weeks ago, had been ill for a long time. For those of us who grew up in the rave scene, every one of us would have heard Ultrasonic's work of a certain age. I mean, I'm in my mid 40s. Well, no, actually, I'm in my late 40s now. Jeez. Poor lad. And like, as you can see, his family there without their dad now. And also, it's one of those nostalgia things, and it really makes us sit up and take notice. I remember flying around in Billy Wilson's Ford Fiesta when we were 17 with literally a massive speaker from a sound system that he had in the boot, banging out Ultrasonic and all kinds of other stuff, bass generator, cassettes, that kind of thing, torturing the people of Gateshead with a mobile sound system. But that was how into it we were. So it like absolutely like saddens us that somebody like this has gone all too early. And look, as I said earlier, and I've seen this from anti-vax people online, just shut up about fucking the vaccine and turbo cancer and all this shit. Just give people a space to fucking grieve, right? That's all. And that goes for people like us as well, who may be thinking, oh, COVID, you know, he's being just honestly, there's a time and a place, but leave it. Rest in peace, Malaka Lee. From what I've heard and from mutual people who know him, I never met him. Great kid, lovely lad, just a great human being, was always trying to be happy and also help other people get on in the scene. So it's a sad thing. So God bless his family and everybody who knew him. So that's been Cow Daily. Please do stick around for the patrons drop in. What's going to happen is I'm going to just go and stick the kettle on. I'm going to post the link in the patrons group, the app, the forum, you know, the one. And that's at patreon.com/Cow Daily. Also, my partners went out to buy us a new pillow because my neck's cattle trucked. So now my dogs are barking downstairs, and one of them's got real separation anxiety. You might be able to hear him. So I'm going to bring him up, the little one with the 3 legs, DJ. So stick around. I'll post the link in patreon.com/Cow Daily. Thanks for everybody's support after a mid-hiatus as well. Appreciate how well received the Crystal Fast show was. Go listen to it. Links in description. Read chaps. I'm going to go and sort these dogs out and give them a bit of a bollock and get the kettle on. Patrons, let us know if you're coming as well, and I shall be there. Imagine if I turned up and you just aired us off. It'd be magic, that, wouldn't it? Yeah. But now let's have a brew together and a bit crack, man. That's the way. See you in a bit. Ta-ra.